There's a building in my hometown that no one talks about anymore. I think people used to, back when there were still yellowed pamphlets taped to the telephone poles about community restoration or whatever that meant. It was quiet for a while. And then the signs stopped showing up. People forgot. Or maybe they just didn't want to remember. I only ended up back here because my aunt died. She lived alone on the outskirts of the neighborhood, kind of house with a screened-in porch that smells like dust even when it's raining. I came back to pick up her stuff, maybe flip the place or rent it out. But I didn't get that far. Her will was strange. Not dramatic, just off. The language felt wrong. Like it had been written by someone trying to sound formal, but missing the point entirely. The last line was what stuck. Do not go to the library. That's it. No explanation. Just that sentence, sitting alone on the last page, typed clean and sharp, like everything else. But here's the thing. We don't have a library. Not anymore. The building's still here, tucked behind the old city records office, across from what used to be a dentist's office with windows permanently fogged over from the years of neglect. But nobody calls it the library. Nobody calls it anything. Except I did. I called it what it was. I called it what I remembered. Should have left it alone. But if you grew up where I did, you probably remember the old card catalog. Not digital, not even electric. Real wood, metal handles, rows of tiny drawers labeled in that fading plastic sticker tape. You'd open one and hear the squeak of swollen wood rubbing against more swollen wood. The card smelled like glue and mold. If you stayed still long enough, you'd start to think the drawers were breathing. That's the memory that came back when I walked past the building for the first time in years. The sidewalk was cracked. Some of the bricks from the library wall had fallen and were never picked up. The front doors were chained shut. But I noticed something weird. The chains were new. Clean, tight, bolted into the frame like whoever put them there wasn't trying to keep people out. They were keeping something in. I circled around the back and found the basement entrance. I used to sneak in there as a kid with a flashlight and a bottle of soda I wasn't supposed to have. The lock was gone. Not broken, just gone. Like someone had taken it off neatly and left no trace. It smelled the same. Old paper, wet stone, something else underneath. Something I didn't remember but recognized anyway. A kind of metallic rot, like rust if rust had a temperature. I only took 3 steps in before I found it. The card catalog. It shouldn't have been there. The basement wasn't where they kept it. That thing used to sit proudly near the front, right past the information desk. But here it was, shoved into the center of the concrete floor like it had been dragged there and left in a hurry. I don't know what possessed me to open a drawer. Maybe it was the smell, or the silence. or the way my aunt's last words kept humming in the back of my head like static. I pulled open the second drawer from the top. There was only one card inside. It had my name on it. Not just my name, my address, my date of birth, the name of my ex, who moved away last spring, my blood type. I didn't even know my blood type. But it was there, typed in red. All of it. I flipped the card over, and there were words written in a shaky, angular hand. Not typed, not neat, like it had been scribbled in the dark. You shouldn't be here. I dropped the card and slammed the drawer shut. That should have been it. That should have been enough. I should have turned around and left that place behind me, gone home, booked a flight, burned the house down if I had to. But I didn't. Because right as I turned to leave, I heard it. A drawer opening. Not behind me, not in front of me. All around me. I don't know how to explain it. The catalog drawers, they weren't just drawers anymore. They were mouths. Hollow little mouths yawning open one by one in slow succession, metal clacking, wood creaking. It was like a song played in a language I wasn't supposed to understand. And they weren't empty. No. Every drawer had a card. Every card had a name. And I recognized every single one of them. People I knew, people I'd forgotten, people I hadn't met yet. And the worst part, some of the cards were blank. Just waiting. The drawer behind me slammed shut. I didn't even look, I just ran. I tripped on the stairs, skinned my hands and knees on the way up. Didn't feel it until hours later. When I got outside, the air felt wrong. Heavier, somehow. Like the pressure had changed while I was in there. Like something else had come out with me. I haven't been back since. Not inside. But sometimes, at night, when I'm trying to sleep, I hear drawers opening. Just one at first, then another, and another, until it's all I can hear. That soft, sliding wood, that cold click of metal, that breathing. I think it's reading me. I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the drawers opening, heard the soft sliding of wood, the click of metal handles. The image of my name, typed in red, burned into my mind. The next morning, I tried to convince myself it was a dream. A hallucination brought on by stress and grief. But the scrape on my knee, the splinters in my palm, told a different story. I needed answers. I returned to the library, this time in daylight. The building looked even more decrepit under the sun. The chains on the front door still gleamed, too new for a place forgotten. I circled to the back, found the basement door ajar. The air inside was stale, thick with the scent of mildew and something else. Something metallic. The card catalog stood where I'd left it, drawers closed. I approached cautiously, half expecting them to spring open. They didn't. I opened the drawer with my name. The card was gone. In its place was a new card, blank except for a single line. Reading room. I remembered the reading room from my childhood. A spacious area on the main floor, filled with long tables and tall windows. But the main floor had been inaccessible, the front doors chained. I searched the basement, found a narrow staircase leading up. The door at the top was unlocked. The reading room was bathed in a sickly yellow light filtering through grime-covered windows. Dust motes danced in the air. The tables were gone, replaced by rows of chains facing a blank wall. On each chair sat a person, motionless, eyes closed, breathing shallow. I recognized some of them. Neighbors, teachers, people I'd known. All seated, as if waiting for something. A low hum filled the room, growing louder. The wall flickered, revealing a projection, a grainy video of the card catalog, drawers opening and closing. The people in the chairs began to speak in unison, reciting names, dates, events. Their voices overlapped, creating a cacophony of memories not their own. I backed away, heart pounding, and fled down the stairs out of the library into the daylight. The whispers followed me home. The house felt wrong when I got back. I kept the lights off, like maybe it would make me less noticeable. Like if I didn't move too much, whatever followed me wouldn't see me. But the whispers didn't care about the dark. They moved through the walls, the floor, the vents. They filled the cracks in the wood and the gaps around the windows. At first, it was little things. I'd hear my name in the background of songs on the radio, see flickers of myself standing in reflections that didn't match my movements. Then the television turned itself on. Static. Thick, heavy static that crackled and buzzed, louder than it should have been. The screen showed nothing but white noise. But if I stared long enough, I could almost make out moving shapes behind it. It got worse after midnight. The static started to bleed out of the TV, dripping into the air, weighing down the room like fog. I couldn't breathe right. I couldn't think straight. I smashed the TV with a hammer from the garage. The glass shattered in a spray of dust and black. For a second, the room was quiet. And then the phone rang. I didn't want to answer it. I let it ring until the machine picked up. But when the message played, it wasn't my voice. It was me. But not. The recording said, "You have been selected for documentation. Your story is incomplete." Click. The dial tone screamed in the empty house. I tried to leave. Keys, wallet, shoes, out the door. I didn't even grab a jacket. Huh. The world outside wasn't right either. The sky was that same static gray as the broken TV. The streets were empty, but I could see figures standing in the distance, motionless, facing my house. Rows of them. Hundreds. Maybe more. All standing like the people in the reading room. Breathing shallow, eyes closed, waiting. I backed into the house and locked the door, like it would help. The only thing I could think to do was go back to the library. Maybe if I gave them what they wanted, they'd stop. Or maybe it was already too late. I grabbed a flashlight and went back into the basement. The door closed behind me without anyone touching it. The drive back to the library barely felt real. I don't even remember the stoplights or the turns. It was like I blinked and I was there. The building looked worse than before. The front windows were dark, smeared over with something like ash or dirt. Half the sign had fallen down. The front door hung open a few inches, just enough to feel like it was waiting for me. I parked on the curb and left the car running. I don't know why. Maybe some part of me thought I could outrun whatever this was. The second I stepped inside, the air changed. It was thick and heavy, like stepping underwater. The smell was worse now, too. Sharp and sour, like paper left to rot. The lights buzzed overhead, flickering. Rows and rows of books stretched into the dark. Way more than I remembered. Way more than should have fit inside the building. And the shelves, they moved. They didn't walk or shake or sway. They breathed. Slow, rising and falling motions, like lungs struggling to pull in air. I kept moving, flashlight sweeping side to side. Every time the light landed on a shelf, it stilled. Back out of the corner of my eye, I saw them moving, contracting, expanding. The reading room was up ahead, down a long aisle that hadn't been there before. It was darker there, darker than it should have been. And I could hear something. Pages turning, dozens of them, hundreds. The sound layered over itself, louder and louder, until it was deafening. I covered my ears and fumbled forward. I covered my ears and stumbled forward. When I finally broke through the last aisle, the reading room opened up around me like a throat swallowing me whole. The chairs were still there, the tables too. But now every seat was filled. People hunched over books, flipping pages faster than should have been possible, their hands a blur, their faces blank. The librarian was there too, or what was left of her. Her figure was half melted into the desk, like wax held too close to a flame. Her mouth stretched open in a scream that never ended. But the worst part were the books. Each one had a name stamped on the cover in heavy black ink. Names I recognized. My parents, my sister, my old classmates, And there, at the very front, a book with my name on it. Still blank. Still waiting. I didn't want to touch it. Every part of me screamed to run. But my hand moved on its own. I reached out and opened it. And the world broke apart. Thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. A quick shout out to my patrons, Old Penguin, Rinku Star, Melissa Perez, Icy Narrates, Seven Cities Journalist, Cupcake Hips, Eric Cifuentes, Alonso, Austin My Love, Ellie Hutmeyer, Jesse Hartley, Lawrence Wallen, Mr. Sankofa, and William Hartley. I always try to link a different charity in the description, so go ahead and check that out. I'm also going to start having more things on my Patreon soon, so keep your eyes peeled. And as always, I'd love to know how I can be praying for you, so go ahead and drop a comment and let me know how I can do that. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you in the next video.